Welcome to Codex, History of Video Games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I'm Tyler Osby.
And today we're talking some more Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong 1994.
Yeah.
Specifically. I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, specifically, we call it is known colloquially. I can't say that word very well. Colloquially?
Colloquially?
Yeah.
It's a weird word.
Yeah. It is known colloquially as Donkey Kong 94. It was not the only Donkey Kong game that came out in 1994, the other one being Donkey Kong Country. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Donkey Kong 1994. And this is a Game Boy game that is sort of a continuation of the arcade games that we've been talking about. So we talked about Donkey Kong Original, we talked about Donkey Kong Jr., we talked about Donkey Kong Country 3. This is sort of like where that branch of Donkey Kong games goes, because at the same time, Donkey Kong games go into the Donkey Kong Country direction as well. This is not about Donkey Kong Country. This is about Donkey Kong 1994. So by the time Donkey Kong 1994 hit the Game Boy in 1994, the Donkey Kong series had been basically asleep for like more than a decade, right? Donkey Kong 3 came out in 1983, and that's not like that weird one that we talked about a few weeks ago where Mario's not even there. He's not even invited.
Stanley.
Yeah, it's a game named Stanley, and he's got to fumigate Donkey Kong out of a greenhouse because reasons, right? Like,
it's just like the game reverted to gardening chores.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. To pest control.
They
By the way,
weren't-
speaking of Stanley, I know I told you I wasn't going to interrupt you this episode, and it's already started 1 minute in, but did you realize, so there's that new Kirby Air Riders game?
Yeah.
Rick the hamster's in it. Our friend Rick. Remember when we talked about Rick during Kirby?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick's back, baby.
All right.
He's in Air Riders. Yeah.
Is he in the Kirby Air Ride for GameCube?
I don't know. He's in
gotta
the
be.
new one, though. But I mean, hey, I just wanted to say, like, because we made a point to be like, what happened to Rick the hamster? He's around now.
He's in
back,
Kirby Air
baby.
Riders. Yeah.
He's feeling it. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Rick the hamster.
Yeah. All right. Well, after Donkey Kong 3 and Stanley the Fumigator, it's basically nothing because that game did not do very well. I think they were trying to figure out what made this game so great. Was it Donkey Kong? Was it Mario? And it would appear at this point in time that the Donkey Kong game without Mario does not do very well. And so it seems like maybe it's not Donkey Kong that people are here for. Maybe it's Mario that people are here for. And then Super Mario Brothers, and then Mario Brothers, the arcade game, and then Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo obviously comes out. Hotcakes and gangbusters. Turns out Mario was the real hero all along. These games were not about Donkey Kong. They were about Mario.
Always.
Yeah. So Nintendo just kind of let this sit in the basement. Yeah. So once they got Mario out of the Donkey Kong games, they didn't do as well. And it makes sense because it makes sense that they would like sort of put the game on ice given that the data that they had at the time. Let the Donkey Kong part die. Continue on with Mario saving the princess from Bowser like a billion times over and over again. Never gets old. We love it. Super Mario Wonder came out a couple years ago. Still great. We love this game, right? Have you played Super Mario Wonder?
I have.
Oh.
I haven't beat it, but I have played it.
Yeah, I didn't finish it
enjoyed
either, but I need to because it is really good.
It's really, really good. I also didn't finish it. I put my Switch in my living room so that my wife and I would play it together, and we just haven't.
Yeah.
So we need to do that.
Yeah. Then in 1994, we get something new. We get a Game Boy game called Donkey Kong. It's just Donkey Kong. We call it Donkey Kong 94 to differentiate it from other Donkey Kong games, but truthfully on the cartridge, it just has Donkey Kong. This was still about 6 months before Donkey Kong Country came out on the Super Nintendo. So this came out in like the summer of 94, and Donkey Kong Country would hit like sort of fall Christmas season 1994. So this was before Donkey Kong Country, technically speaking. If you were a Super Nintendo nerd at the time, you knew Donkey Kong Country was on the way because Rare had been sending out VHS tapes to people's houses to like advertise this game. Like if you were a Nintendo nerd, you knew that Donkey Kong Country was coming, but it wasn't out yet by the time this game hit. So if you hadn't been paying attention, you would probably just assume this was a handheld port of the arcade game. And to be fair, the first 4 levels are that. That's all they are. They're just the arcade game again. Right down to the music, the timing, the very unforgiving fall damage. That's the thing that always gets me when I go back to play the original Donkey Kong. Is like you don't have to fall very far before you die.
There's fall damage? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and it's very unforgiving.
That's super rude. I mean, that's some classic arcade shenanigans. Give me your quarters right there.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Exactly. So then you beat those 4 levels, and the game just kind of keeps going. There's just more after that. Donkey Kong sort of knocks down like this brick wall. I think that's what happens if I remember correctly. He like knocks down this brick wall and like jumps out into this like larger world and you're like, "Holy moly, this game is way bigger than just the first 4 levels of Donkey Kong." And I think if you had bought this game on the Game Boy back in 1994, you might have been just happy with just being an arcade port of the original Donkey Kong game. Like it's got better graphics.
Yeah.
It's like, that could have been cool. Like Steve Wiebe out there being like, "Yeah, dude, this is the best Game Boy game ever," right? So before we like dive too deep on Donkey Kong, though, I want to talk grime facts.
You gotta do it.
Got to do the grime facts. So the developer is Nintendo and Pax Softnica. The release date is June 1994. The system that it came out on, Game Boy, it also had some really, really big Super Game Boy enhancements. There was like some updated colors to it. It has its own little background, like the arcade machine from the original Donkey Kong is like a custom background you can get when you put this game in your Super Nintendo. And I did that with my Super Game Boy on my Super Nintendo. It was very cool. It's also out on Switch Online now as of like, I think recently, like this year, it came out on the Switch Online emulator. There is also Donkey Kong 94 DX fan colorization that like people are working on to like really remake this game still in Game Boy Color form, but like with like full color enhancements and not just like Super Game Boy sort of like kind of color enhancements. I wasn't able to find it because I wanted to play it, so maybe it's not out yet. But anyway, that's sort of what I was able to find online. I would say the best way to play this game, just pick it up on Switch if you've got the Switch Online emulator, or if you've got a cartridge, if you have the means, play this on your Super Game Boy because that's pretty cool too. But if you're just playing it on regular Game Boy, or we all got emulators these days. Playing, of course, your legally owned cartridge.
Your legally owned copy of the game.
That's right. Yes, we do not condone piracy, but that's a good way to play it. If you have a legally purchased copy of the game and an emulator, I recommend that. It sold 3 million copies according to VGCharts.com. The gameplay or genre is puzzle platformer. And that is interesting because while the first 4 levels of this game are just the arcade game again, puzzle platformer is an accurate description of the rest of the game. The average time to complete from howlongtobeat.com is 6 hours, which seems really short to me. But when I played this, especially, it seems really short to me because the game is 96 levels. And that just seems like 96
levels?
of anything shouldn't be doable in under 6 hours, right? I also never finished it as a kid. I must have put dozens of hours into this game. Hey, when you're a little kid, you're bad at video games, takes more than 6 hours, that's fine. Also, I would just get stuck and then I just erase my file and start over because when you're a kid, you're fine with doing that. As an adult, I'm like, that's wasted time. I'm not erasing this file. I'll just quit playing the game.
I'll never erase it.
Yeah. This game is too old for a Metacritic score or OpenCritic or anything like that. I think it was generally decently well received. And it does go on to spawn sort of its own separate side series. You may be familiar with the Mario versus Donkey Kong series. That is sort of the spiritual continuation of this game.
Oh, interesting.
Which is much more of a puzzle platformer thing than like a Donkey Kong Country or something like that. So, okay. So now that we're done with the grime facts, we get back to talking about Donkey Kong 94. So, I think Donkey Kong 94 is one of the most surprising reinventions that Nintendo ever did because it basically takes that old Donkey Kong format into this puzzle platforming adventure where you have to bring the key to the door in the level. Every level has a key, and Mario has to go pick it up, sort of like Super Mario Bros. 2 style, and bring it back to the door. It's very simple. Simple. It is not easy. That is very difficult to do, especially later on. So the jump from level 4 to level 5 is kind of like walking through the back of a wardrobe and tripping into an entirely new game full of keys and switches and ladders and puzzles and it takes a lot more brain cells than the original game ever demanded. That's for sure. And Donkey Kong sort of does this himself. Like I said, he sort of breaks down this brick wall and you're like, oh shoot, this is a whole nother game. Wow.
Yeah.
And Mario gets a lot of sweet new moves in this one. He's got backflips, he's got long jumps, handstands. This is stuff that wouldn't show up until a couple years later in Super Mario 64, actually. I don't know if this is a sneak peek at that or if there's any inspiration drawn from this game for Super Mario 64, but this is kind of, at this point in time, the most acrobatic Mario has ever been.
This is his first foray into parkour,
yes,
is what you're saying?
Yeah. The controls are pretty responsive. Anybody who's played the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, knows that precision platforming on that pea soup green screen is not exactly luxurious, but this game makes it work surprisingly well. Screen still looks like garbage. Obviously, you can't save that. But the gameplay was great. Have you gone back and looked at an old Game Boy screen recently?
Yes.
Truly
because I
trash.
I got the old Game Boy my friend had. He gave it to me, and it is rough.
I don't know how any
Tell
of
you that
us
much.
did anything like with that
Oh,
because it's
I tried to
unusable.
play it, unplayable.
Yeah,
I tried to play it, and I was just like, am I gonna replace this screen? Like I might do the mod. I might replace the screen
like put an
because
IPS
it's
screen in there or OLED or
yeah,
something.
because it's pretty rough. It's
Yeah,
pretty rough.
yeah,
So
it's and it's not like, oh man, it's been 30 years and so all these screens have degraded. It's like, no, this is just how it was back in the 90s, right? It was really bad.
that contrast wheel can only do so much.
Yeah, the Game Boy Pocket was a huge upgrade in that area.
It was. My brother had a Pocket, and it was really good.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the first 4 levels in this game, the whole structure shifts. Instead of like get to the top and save Pauline, it becomes like these little mini challenges. So you grab the key, you get to the door, and then you move on to the next level. Sometimes you have to set up your own platforms. Make sure you don't run out of time when doing so. Everything is timed in this game, so that's
It's so stressful.
yeah, it's stressful. And when you put down a platform, you get a certain amount of time to like use it or it goes away. And so there's some stuff you can do with if you put another platform down, because there's some levels that let you do more than one. That sort of resets the timer, and the timer sort of for all the platforms, I think. So you can kind of get around that in some ways if you're like crafty with how you do this. But yeah, it's pretty stressful. And then so at the end of each world, after like 4 or 5 levels, Donkey Kong shows up to ruin your day, and you get a boss encounter, and that's half action, half puzzle. And the point is either to get up to DK and save Pauline, sort of like the original arcade game where you just have to like sort of make it to the top, or you got to fight DK by throwing things at him, throwing barrels, and it's usually some form of barrel that you have to throw back at him. You have a lot of tools to make your way through the game's 96 levels, tools that help you create platforms and ladders. You can pick up most enemies and throw them, just like in Super Mario Bros. 2. All of the worlds are very fun. They're all themed. You get Big City, which I think is sort of a proto New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, and that's just what I choose to believe on that.
Ooh, that's your head canon. I like it.
Yeah, there's a forest level, a ship level, a jungle level, a desert level, an airplane level, an iceberg level, and a rocky valley level. And then the last world is the tower. Spoilers for a 30-year-old game. The tower, in which every
Wow.
level is a Donkey Kong boss fight as you climb to the top of the tower. I watched a speed run of this game because I was never able to make it that far as a kid, and the puzzles get pretty crazy later on. The speed run I watched was tool assisted and kind of made use of some glitches too, like he was beating every level in like very short amount of time. Yeah, he finished the entire game in under an hour, which was still pretty cool to watch though. But it's just such a unique game, I think. It's basically the prototype for all the Mario versus Donkey Kong games that come after. It's a platformer first. I will say, like, it leans a little bit more heavily on the platformer part. But that's just from my memory of this game. But it has very, very heavy puzzle elements. The minis games tend to focus a little bit more on the puzzle part, if I'm not mistaken. That's a series that I haven't dove into yet that I would like to, I think, as part of this series. Because those games are going to be all new to me, which is pretty fun. I have a feeling they're a little bit more puzzle heavy, though. I think there's enough platforming Mario games that probably leaning into the puzzle aspect is the way to go on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So plus this game came out the same year as Donkey Kong Country, which is one of my favorite little parts of this like historical moment because these two games share a name, they share a mascot, and they're doing two completely different things. And I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I like that too. That's really cool because Donkey Kong Country was so groundbreaking for this, like a different reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah, Country was like this cool, like sort of cutting edge game. Had like those cool pre-rendered graphics that just looked like sorcery in 1994. Like that was, they truly were like cooking on another level with that game in terms of graphics. I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times.
The music.
Oh man, don't even get me started on the music. Whew. David
yeah.
Wise,
We can't.
genius.
We gush a lot about Donkey Kong Country on this show, I think, but it's worth it. It's worth the praise.
Yeah, I would like to get into that series someday because all of those games hold a special place in my heart. Even the third one, which I know is not as well loved, but I still loved it. I thought the overworld mechanics were really fun, even if people didn't like Kiddy Kong at all. But for now, we're just talking.
You know what? They can deal with it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So now we're just talking Donkey Kong 1994. Again, complete opposite of Donkey Kong Country. It's a little more understated. It's small and clever. It's like a quieter entry in this thing, I think. Even in the the time period was like the Game Boy sort of play it loud era, and this game was a little bit understated, I think. And the Game Boy was pretty long in the tooth by 1994. Like we were just talking about the screen and how garbage it was. And even when it came out in the late 80s, the Game Boy was still pretty low tech for the time. It was not like cutting edge because it was only like a year or two before the Game Gear, and the Game Gear was definitely like a higher, better, like hardware wise, it was much better than the Game Boy. So, but yeah, it was basically like, what if we continued making weirder and weirder stages for the Donkey Kong arcade game? Whereas Donkey Kong Country was like, what if we made Donkey Kong a platformer and then gave it like kind of something of a story, which is kind of an interesting sort of like divergence, I think. I love these sort of like forks in the road as far as like game design goes. When you get sort of like, it's like an alternate universe. Like, what if we kept going on this road versus this other road? So another interesting fork in the road that I think would have been fun to continue traveling down is something like the Star Fox Adventures game, which was like such a left turn from all these other Star Fox games. And there could have been a whole series there of Star Fox Adventures games, but they didn't really explore that, which is too bad because I think that game was decently well received, especially as a GameCube. I think it was a launch title for GameCube. If not, it was like very shortly after the GameCube came
I have
out.
a memory of watching my best friend play that when I was in like, whenever I was a kid when the Game Boy came out or GameCube came out. So that was like 2000 something.
2001.
I think early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So I watched him play Star Fox Adventure. I thought it was really neat.
Yeah.
Also, I agree. It was very different. I mean, I was so used to Star Fox 64 though as a kid that I was probably just like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
Star Fox.
That's how I was too. I was like, I just wanted Star Fox 64 too, and Star Fox Adventures was not that. And I was like, this sucks. And so I was like not having any of that. And then Star Fox Assault came out a couple of years later, and by then I was kind of over it. I never really got into Star Fox Assault, which was too bad.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. One thing I do love about Donkey Kong 94 is that they bring back Pauline, because she was in the first Donkey Kong, and was she in Donkey Kong Jr.? I can't remember now.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that at all.
I don't think so. No, she must not have been, because Donkey Kong Jr. was about Donkey Kong Jr. saving Donkey Kong from Mario. I don't think Pauline was in there at all. So they brought Pauline back for this. Because they could have gone with like a Princess Peach angle, right? They could have been like, oh, Mario is saving Princess Peach at this point, or Princess Toadstool. Let's
But they're like,
make
no,
her
Pauline.
Yeah, it's Pauline again. And it was maybe the last time we'd see her before Super Mario Odyssey. They gave her like a jazz band in Super Mario Odyssey, and
I love how that's they're like, hey, we haven't had you in a video game in 20 years, but at least we got you a jazz band.
Yeah.
So get excited, Pauline.
yeah. Yeah, so she's involved in this game the whole time. There's little cutscenes in between worlds where DK sort of scoops her up and runs away, and then Mario it reacts with this sort of like exaggerated panic, and she has a little yell. I say that in like air quotes because the sound capabilities of the Game Boy were a stretch at this time, and it's like I can hear this little yell burned into my brain because it's like a little like a squeaky noise. I don't even know.
Does it sound similar to a Pokemon?
It does. It does sound similar to a Pokemon, and like not even one of the more like there are some Pokemon noises where you're like, dang, that's some good sound design for the Game Boy. This is like more like a Pokemon, like that doesn't have very good sound design, where you're just like, oh, they really phoned that one in.
You heard it here first, folks. Pauline's a Pokemon. We're calling it.
Yeah.
Codex.
Yep. Pauline is a Pokemon. But yeah, like, dang, I wish I should have put it on like a soundboard or something so I could play it here. I feel bad about that. Maybe
just save it for a random episode sometime.
Yeah.
And you'll hit the button.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll be like, what?
Yeah. So yeah, and then those little cutscenes are really cool too, because they will almost always introduce the new mechanic for like the next world, because each world sort of piles on a new mechanic. And so in these cutscenes, Donkey Kong will like throw some sort of obstacle at Mario, and Mario will, overcome this obstacle in the way that you're supposed to do it in the next few levels that are going to come up, which is a really cool way of like teaching you the mechanic without just being like, and now you have to place a platform. It's like, watch Mario do it for a second, So they're pretty clever. I like that. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of game in this game. That's why I was surprised to see the How Long to Beat was 6 hours on it, because it feels so much longer than that.
It's got that. Is it that little kid feeling of how big the game is?
Yeah, it's like the little kid. Like How Long to Beat for Pokemon is probably like 20 hours, right? But as a kid, man, hundreds, right? hundreds of hours.
Yeah, Super Mario World. If I was a child, I would have been like, it's 100 hours long.
Yeah,
You know,
it's so big. What is the how long to beat on
No.
Super Mario World? I wonder.
Oh, it's probably like 10 hours.
It
Maybe
is.
less.
It's 5.
It's 5 hours.
5
yeah, because
hours. Oh, I
that's
spent
like you
dozens
can.
of hours playing this game.
Oh yeah, dude. I've spent so much time playing that game as a kid. I've also because I just go to someone's house and they had a Super Nintendo, and I would just start a new save file. So I probably played the first 3 lands 100 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just over and over and over again.
I'm
Never even made it that far.
yeah, I never owned that game either as a kid, so I had to go over to my buddy's house and play it.
I have the Super Mario. I have the Game Boy Advance copy of Super Mario.
I did have
World,
that
which
later
I
on, yeah.
cherish because I don't know what happened to a lot of my old Game Boy games. I have no idea, and they're just gone. And I'm like, man, this is such a bummer because I only have a few left.
Yeah.
But I do have my Pokemon Red, which is the one that I feel like is most important, probably.
Yeah, that's a good one to have. That thing's worth money now for a legitimate cartridge. I had a Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. Is that what it was? It was the second Super Mario.
That's
Advance?
what it's called. Yeah, it's called Super Mario Advance 2.
I had that. I think I loaned it to a friend, and it went through, I don't mean to blame my friend for this because it could have been my fault as well. But I think it went through a washer, and the label came off. So I have every now and then I go through my Game Boy games, and I find the one that has no label, and I know that's Super Mario World. It still works.
I think that's the one. You could put a little piece of masking tape on it.
Yeah.
You could probably buy a new label.
You're probably
honestly.
right. I probably should.
There's people that just buy. There's people that make labels for everything. I mean, there's people that make labels for my N64 games, so when I store them, I could have a spine label where I can see what the game is. Which I thought about getting all those stickers because that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
To look and see. So
yeah, so yeah, it's the game is just huge, and you get like I said, 96 levels, all of them smartly constructed. Conveyors, switches, ropes, enemies with weird rules. You just keep going between action and puzzling, and I don't think it overstays its welcome, even with all those stages. Again, I guess if it's only 6 hours, it's kind of hard to overstay your welcome there. Again, I never made it to the end as a kid because it gets pretty hard, or at least hard for a kid, I suppose. Maybe it's actually a really easy game. I don't know. Sometimes you come back to a game and you go, "How did I ever struggle with this?" And sometimes you come back to a game and you go, "How did I ever beat this as a kid?" Yeah. So, and because it's a Game Boy game, I think all the levels are pretty quick. A level might take you 30 seconds or 5 minutes, depending on how fast you spot the solution. And I think that's pretty cool. It feels kind of modern, like someone in the future, predicted the future of mobile game design by accident, or on purpose. I suppose.
yeah, like quick, just swift levels to get through.
Yeah. I do seem to remember the save function only works after you beat a string of 4 levels and beat a boss. So you can't pull it out, play a level, and then turn it off because you'll just have to do that again. So they sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step backward kind of deal where it's it's good that the levels are quick, but if I got to beat 4 of them before I can save my game.
Dude, we've complained about classic saving in video games before, but it is rough out there.
Yeah.
Okay? Dude, passwords? Ugh, writing the password down. I did that so many times. Ugh, it was rough.
Man, passwords, I bet, would have been cool if you were the kind of person who had the brain to be able to figure out how to crack the passwords.
Oh, so you could just use whatever save you want?
Yeah, to be okay, here's what I want in my save file. I know how to craft a password that gives me that. That could be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Some password games probably easier than others to figure out, but I don't know.
They went into... there's a Matt KC video where he goes into a save file of one of his old games and explains how the save files work, and it's very interesting. So I want to say it's a Need for Speed game or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's really interesting because he tries to go into it and see okay, how is this set up and how did they do it, and essentially reverse engineer it so he can play his game again.
That's awesome. I love Matt
Which
Casey.
I thought was it's
and
a really good
dedication
YouTube
to
channel.
Lego Island specifically.
That's the real thing. That's the thing that
you can
we
play
all
Lego
should
Island
care
in a
about.
browser now because of Matt Casey. You just load up. I think it's Lego.island or something, and you play Lego Island. Is that what it is? Lego.
The funniest part about that too is he's even I wasn't even considered a big Lego Island fan. I just thought of this game and now I am the Lego Island guy.
Yeah. Isle.pizza. That's what it is. You can just load the game up.
Isle.pizza. Good to know. So if you want to play Lego Island, everybody, that happened after our Lego Island episode.
Yeah.
Too, by the way.
That's true.
Which is really crazy. Like, I would have mentioned that on our Lego Island episode, but it was after the fact that they compiled the game. So
yeah. Lego Island. That's not a very good game, but for some reason is such.
It's really not.
But it has such a place in all of our hearts, in like a specific group of people's hearts for this like nostalgia. Like it reminds me specifically of wintertime and like being inside, snow outside, playing this game. It's warm inside. We're playing Lego Island. There's Christmas music playing. You know.
I mean, there was the idea of being able to like build your carts and stuff, or your cars and your stuff like that, and like edit them. That was really cool because it was like the very beginnings of that. This is not a Lego Island podcast. I'm sorry, everyone.
But that was cool. Except I feel like you couldn't actually customize them any more than just changing the colors of things. Like I don't think you could.
Yeah, it was really limited.
Yeah, it was very. It was like you could click on the piece and click where it was supposed to go, but everybody had the same car, and maybe you could change the color. That was kind of it. But anyway, this is not a Lego Island podcast, but. Welcome to Codex History of Lego Island again, part 2.
Part 2.
But yeah, in Donkey Kong 94, the animations are actually really cool too. I have a note here about that because like this game wasn't really a technical powerhouse because like not much on the Game Boy was, but it does have some really smooth animations, especially DK himself. And Mario's acrobatics are really good too. He's got this like endearing sort of I did it pose like when you finish a stage that's like an Olympic like what's that called when you finish doing your flips and you do the like you're like
like this or like this thing
and like your arms go up
thing,
it's like
right?
There's like a
I thought it's like a salute thing. I don't know.
No, there's like
is that what it's called? Hold on
the Olympic that says like I did it, I'm done now
in gymnastics when you land.
Anyway, Mario's got one of those like a victory pose kind of thing.
I'm doing an AI answer because I don't want to read through the glossary of gymnastics terms. A dismount.
Okay, well there you go.
Is it the dismount?
Is
that the pose though?
Mario has a good dismount in this game. And it
the act of getting off an apparatus and the skill to do it. It's not necessarily the motion though.
Oh.
Like I don't know what the motion is called. If you like gymnastics, send us an email to codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com and tell us what it's called. Lego Island and gymnastics. What a random tangents this episode.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about in this game is like the pacing because the original arcade game is like it's an arcade game, right? Quick lives, quick fails. Please keep putting quarters in if you want to keep playing. Donkey Kong 94 is a little different. It feels challenging. I think it rarely feels unfair though. They're always adding in new mechanics to keep it fresh. They throw extra lives at you like nothing. Like there's little items you can pick up in each level. There's like an umbrella, purse, and something else. Gosh, I wish I could remember what it is. A hat. And if you get all 3, you get an extra life at the end of the level. It's not really worth doing that because you're going to get like 3 extra lives at the end of every level, depending on how much time you have left on the thing. So the speed runs and stuff I was watching, they're just like not getting those unless they're like a 100%.
Like we ignore those.
Yeah.
Well, they're also, if you're speed running, you're probably not planning on dying. You're just planning on getting through it as fast as possible, right?
That's
Unless
true.
the exploit involves dying.
Yeah, that's true. And by the end of these, like once you get through like about halfway through the game, if you haven't died yet, you have 99 lives. You're just in infinity lives basically. But yeah, there's like it's one of those games where you're like every time a new world comes up, you're like surely they've shown me everything that this game has, and I will just keep like doing variations of the same mechanics. Like a new world comes in and there's a new mechanic every time. It feels pretty good. You're like doing flips, you're grabbing keys, you're putting down platforms. There is like a thing where Mario does he flips off of like a wire, and there's like angled wires where he like spins and then flings himself, which is really fun. And there's some like angled ones where you fly, you can fling yourself across the level and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. So yeah, I think because this game is so focused on ideas rather than tech, it's aged pretty well. The puzzles still hold up. I mean, a good puzzle is a good puzzle, right? I think this would actually be pretty fun if it were adapted to a mobile game that gave you like a new level every day or something like that. I think of like almost like the New York Times games where they give you like a new Wordle every day. I'm like, I just want a new Donkey Kong level every day, you know? I think that would be really fun.
That would be neat.
So yeah,
Why isn't this a mobile game? Why? Remember when Nintendo was making mobile games?
I know
Why
Super
didn't
Mario
they just
Run
do this?
did hotcakes and gangbusters. There was a Mario Kart
Dude,
one too, wasn't it?
I loved Super Mario Run. Yeah, there still is a Super Mario Kart one. I thought, is it still out there?
I think so. I want to say
Let
some
me
of the
check my
tracks came out from
cellular
Mario Kart 8.
telephone. I'm on my iTelephone and I'm checking right now.
Okay.
Let's look here. Mario Kart Tour Race Around the World.
There it is.
Updated 3 weeks ago.
All right.
And it's got 1 million ratings and 5 stars, which is crazy.
Guess it's
So
a good
I
game.
think it's pretty popular.
Okay.
I loved Mario Run. I actually paid for Mario Run when it was like cost money.
I did too because it
But
was not
worth
free,
it.
right? It was like $10 or something when it first came out.
Yeah, but it was worth it. I had a really good time playing it.
Yeah, and I remember
actually.
being appreciative of this. Like, oh, it's $10 for the game, and there's no other like
There's no
BS.
microtransactions. It's just a game. And it's the way they release the game the way you want phone games to be released, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yep.
So I should put that on my Trello board that I played that game.
You should.
Didn't even think about it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's sort of what I got for Donkey Kong 94. I loved this game as a kid. I must have got it in the mid 90s somehow. I don't remember. It's one of those games where you just don't remember how you got it. I probably saw it on the shelf. I probably asked my grandma for it. I could always get my grandma to buy me a Game Boy game when I was a little kid. If we went to the mall and went to
Nice.
KB Toys, I could point at Donkey
Oh,
Kong.
KB Toys.
I could be like, Grandma, I want this game. And my parents would be like, no. But if they weren't with us, Grandma was going to buy me the game. Love
That's
you, Grandma
awesome.
Shirley. Miss you. She bought me a lot of
Shout
video
out to
games.
Grandma Shirley.
Yep.
This episode's devoted to Grandma Shirley.
Yep, this episode goes out to Grandma Shirley. I'm not sure she bought me this game, but there's a pretty good chance she did.
There's an above 50% chance she bought the game for you. And I'm saying that as someone that did not know you as a child, but I'm guessing that's what happened.
Yeah. I'm not sure why I picked this game. I probably had Donkey Kong Country before this game. So maybe I thought that I was getting like the Game Boy version of Donkey Kong Country, but I didn't go for Donkey Kong Land, which did come out like a year later after Donkey Kong Country, like the next summer. Like it was pretty late. So maybe this was in that liminal space between Donkey Kong Country's release and, well, no, it wouldn't have been because I didn't get my Super Nintendo till, I don't know. I'm not sure how I came across getting this game. Maybe somebody got it for me knowing that I love Donkey Kong and they were like, there's a Donkey Kong game. Here you go, kid.
Dude, you just brought up a great idea for an episode. Wild card game picks as a kid. Because I had a couple where I just
Oh.
went for one.
Yeah.
Like
you
weird
just
ones.
liked the
I don't
box.
want to say them. Yeah, I don't want to say them because I don't want to I mean, that's content, baby. But I don't wanna, but I have a couple I'm thinking of right now that I got because, and it might have both been influenced by my mom being like, you should get this one. And then I was like, okay. And I got it. And I was like, pleasantly surprised. So there's a couple there. That might be a good episode to do. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe it's one we do when we're like, got a holiday coming up and we can plan ahead.
Yeah.
Talk about, this would be a good Christmas episode because it's about like, getting and get a game, you know. So I got 2 games in my mind right now thinking about it.
Ooh,
that
can't wait to
were
hear about
wild cards, and I bet you there's more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look at my collection of games, but I think I could.
I'm also wondering if I don't have one of them anymore. So I know for sure I don't have one, but the other one's an N64 game, and if I don't have it, I'm gonna immediately try to find it. So because
Yeah.
you know how I am.
So yeah,
Yeah, man.
I guess we could wrap it up here a little bit. I think Donkey Kong 94 is like kind of this odd like little hinge point. It brought Mario and Donkey Kong back together in a way that pushed the series forward, which is something that Donkey Kong Country Jr. and then obviously Donkey Kong 3. Did I say Donkey Kong Country Jr.? Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong 3.
Donkey Kong Jr.
None of these did this. I think this is cool because it sets the stage for a full-on puzzle franchise, which is really cool. And now I want to start getting into these Mario versus Donkey Kong games to see how they push that part of this even further, because I'm sure if they went down that rabbit hole, there's like a lot of new mechanics and stuff that could be very, very fun to see. So we won't dive into that on this one. That's a whole separate rabbit hole. I think the minis deserve their own conversation someday. But for now, it's just worth appreciating this little gem of a game on the original Game Boy. I think it's just one of those games that is so good, but I feel like relatively few people played it. I imagine once Donkey Kong Land came out, like people who wanted the Donkey Kong experience on Game Boy, they just went for that. Which was probably the better choice if you were trying to get Donkey Kong Country, but on Game Boy. That's basically what Donkey Kong Land was. So you might have been disappointed by Donkey Kong 94 if that's what you were out there for. But I loved this game.
But it's a gem.
Yeah, just an underrated gem. So yeah, Mike, what you been playing?
Well, there's a big thing that happened this week. I started playing a game with you, Tyler. I started playing a game that was giving you and I a lot of nostalgic feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still playing it.
Yep.
And that is Guild Wars Reforged.
Yeah.
We're back on it again.
Yep.
A game that I haven't played in so long. I'm pretty sure they deleted my Arena account, my ArenaNet account. It's weird. It says it exists with my email, but I can't get a reset. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
like I don't know
weird.
what's
Maybe
going
it
on.
went to
with
your
it.
spam folder or something. I don't know.
I checked. I don't know. I checked my spam folder, but I was like wondering. I was like, what if my old characters are there? Like that was my first thought.
I know
but
they hang on
I
to 'em,
didn't.
but
Yeah, maybe I could like email ArenaNet and be like, out of curiosity, and they'd be like, you haven't played our game in 20 years. What are you emailing us for?
I mean, there's a pretty good answer to that. It's you just reforged this game, and you're trying to
That
get
is
people to
true.
come back for nostalgia reasons. Guess what? It worked. Don't get mad at me because I did the thing you wanted me to.
Yeah, I even tried to do the thing where I would like type in passwords I had in high school
Yeah.
to see if I could just get it to go.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it to go.
Yeah, I think one of
But,
the password reset things is like you have to put in the name of a character that's on the account, and so if you don't remember any of those, you might have a bad time.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even remember the name of the character. My new character, Spubby McNaldo, is a ranger though.
Yeah.
And he's crushing it. Dude, I am all in, man. I mean, I don't even remember what the end game content's like with this, but I'm down to just keep playing it with you because it's really chill fun. We're in pre-searing still.
Yeah.
It's like Ascalon is beautiful. We're loving it. That whole thing threw me off majorly because I was a kid when I bought the box from the GameStop with the PC game. Because I think, like you, I couldn't do a World of Warcraft subscription. Like, my parents were not cool with paying a monthly fee for me to play a video game. So,
I still
got
hesitate
that.
to pay monthly fees for video games.
Me too, right? And then it's like, it just does a lot. And I mean, I played it with henchmen. So, this is my first time actually playing it with a friend.
Me
and
too.
It's so fun. And I'm all in, man. It's also, like you said, no microtransactions. Super simple. Just like you got energy to use your abilities. You got health that you can make recharge faster with like healing abilities, and that's kind of it right now. And I'm digging it. And I can also I'm a ranger necromancer as my secondary profession. Tell people what yours is.
Oh, I am a monk elementalist, and that is based off of no planning whatsoever. That might be a very bad combination of professions, but I don't care.
I think it's gonna be good, man. I think it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked. It's gonna be fun. And we're going to play it again. Also, you got it working on your Retroid.
That's true. I did get it working on my Retroid Pocket, which I was just showing Mike moments ago. It runs at 60 frames per second.
I'm going to mess with it the minute we're done with playing it today. And I'm going to try to get it running on my Retroid also because I love that. So, but yeah, it's really, really fun. Also, the game's 3 gigs. Gosh, I miss old game sizes.
Yeah, loads up super fast. That was true even back in the day. It really did have extremely fast loading screens even back in the day, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's got that. Oh, go ahead.
I remember it also had this really cool feature where, like, when you play this game on Steam now, it just downloads the whole game at once because it's a 3 gigs. Who cares, right? But that was a lot of space back in 2005. And I do remember you had the option to install the game without any content, and it would just download it as you loaded into new areas. And so, like, the first time you would load a new zone, it might take a little bit longer as it downloaded the zone for you. And then it would just hang on to it. Of course, you don't have to do that every single time. But I thought that was a really cool way of delivering the game. And then you did have the option to just download the whole game, so you didn't have to worry about that. But it was cool for those who maybe didn't have a ton of hard drive space, or maybe their internet connection speed was slow and it would have taken 10 hours to download the whole game, but I don't mind waiting 5 minutes for a new zone to load. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Topical. Helldivers just cut their download size. Did you see that?
They cut it from like 150 gigs to like 20, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy.
I was like, that was such a cool move to do, just to be like, yeah, we're making our game smaller. I'm like, that's awesome. Honestly, one of the cons to getting back into Destiny 2 for me is the file size.
I know, and they cut a lot of content for the same reason.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy big. So, but yeah, that's what I've been playing. I've been playing also some Battlefield 6 and stuff too. I also started that Where the Winds Meet game to play with our friends, which is like an MMO also, but it's very different. It's like action MMO. You get like floaty jumps and you can like climb up cliffs. It's really cool. I'm liking it so far. I've only played like 30 minutes, but yeah, what have you been playing this week?
Well, besides the few hours of Guild Wars we put in yesterday, which I would like to do again soon, I did finally finish Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evil East Chronicles. I did.
You beat the boss?
I did beat the boss. I went back. I did the grinding that I needed to do while we were catching up on some Stranger Things. We decided to go back and rewatch the whole series of Stranger Things. So during 2 or 3 episodes, I just sort of blasted through some grinding, and that got me to the level I needed to be so that I could. I didn't just breeze through the last bosses again, but they were much easier and only took me a couple of tries this time. So I don't know. I guess I'm bad at this game because even on story mode, it was really hard. But yeah, so finally did that. Guild Wars. Think that's it.
Yeah, I've been like toying with that. I think I'm gonna try to pick up one of my retro games this week. One of my many retro games. I'm kind of bummed because I missed out on buying the analog 3D, which I am trying to play my 64 games on a 64. But if analog 3D seems like a good compromise with that because it'll work on a modern TV way better. Because I have this weird like way of getting around that by using an adapter, and it's just the adapter is not that great. It requires an external power source. It's not great. It's just weird. So
without doing like a full-on HDMI mod on your N64, you'd never really get the right kind of output anyway. And if you use analog, I think it has like CRT filters and stuff too, so it might even be a better experience.
Yeah, so I missed the down. I saw it pop up and I was like, oh, darn it. That's where the edit's going to go. And I was like, oh man, I should get this right now. And then I just like remembered a day later to look at it again when I was home and it was gone, out of stock. So it's kind of cool because it shows there's a market for this.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a real market for these items, but it's also hard because it's harder to get. And I don't know about their controller. I was just going to keep using my Brawler 64 because I love it. So I wasn't going to buy their controller. I was just going to buy the console and go from there. But yeah, so that's the thing I want to jump in on again because I'm looking at all my 64 games and I have so many I want to play.
Yeah, and you can actually pop the cartridge in, which is very cool.
It's a cool move. So, but yeah, with that, if you want to support our podcast, just tell your friends about us. Tell your friends that we have a podcast. Be like, hey, I got a video game podcast you should listen to. That's really helpful to us. You can leave a review and do all that jazz if you want to. If you want to join our Discord, there's a link on codexpodcast.net that you can click on. That never expires. You just have to do the little I agree to the rules of the Discord, and then all the channels open up to you. So with that, Tyler, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.